G'day people. Here I am trying this live stream stuff again. Obviously back in the Batcave. I don't know, does this look a little bit better? I'm trying out a different camera this time. Going to keep trying different things until we see what works really well. Before we begin, I'd like to test out another couple of little bits and pieces. I think I got this stuff right, and let's just see how well it works. So, first thing we've got to say is we need to support the channel. So via Linktree there, you'll find a link of all the different bits and pieces. Within there is definitely a link to various PayPals, BitChute thingy bobs. If you obviously, I'm going to have to upload to BitChute a bit later. We've just tried to do this to YouTube for the first time. I haven't actually done that, so hopefully it's working. I'm not sure if we can comment through YouTube, so if you're watching via YouTube, it'd be really cool to see if that actually does work. I don't know if anyone is actually hearing or listening at this particular juncture in time. If there is, it'd be really good to hear from you, so I know that this is functioning. You might see we've got this lovely little fluffy dead cat thingy-bob going on here on a H5 zoom, which should be giving you much better audio quality than some of the other stuff we've done. So I'm pulling out all the big guns. You may have seen a couple of photos coming up from the Apocalypso event. And that was a really, really awesome event, I must say. Like, the amount of people that I caught up with that were just, whoa, totally amazing people. Obviously, even met up with people that, used to jam in the same rehearsal rooms that I did. Like, talk about synchronicity. Like, as the first dude I walk into is this dude Gumpy, and he played in a band, what was it called again? I can't believe I've gone blank. Blind Monkey. There you go. I've gone blank. He was blind. Blind Monkey, and he rehearsed in the same rehearsal rooms I did, knew some of the same people I did. It was, wow, cool. And even catching up with the guys from, Lawful Me and Living Free and whatnot, who are also friends with my good friend Darren Dixon, who we are going to be interviewing on Wednesday. And you can even drop in and, join the chat. Obviously, we're going to have a little bit of a chat first, but provided we have time, I don't want to make promises. I hope we do have some time for you guys to even ask some questions. Very knowledgeable man, obviously, with Know Your Rights going on and Lawful Me. And if you haven't checked it out, Constitution Watch is a wonderful website full of so much information. Great resource to have, and I definitely recommend that, not just because he's a friend of mine, but because his stuff really works. Trust me, I've used it and it does. So anyway, one of the main and before I forget, also Tuesday 3 p.m. I know it's a bit of an odd time, you might have to watch it a bit later, but that was the best available. An amazing dude I met, Dennis, who is running a chat out of Cairns. See, I've gone blank again. These things you have in your head, and then when the moment comes, oh my lord, oh, look at that. I look up at YouTube and see some Megadeth, Metallica, of course, as well. That's another story I was interested in seeing. I don't know, you guys interested in hearing about heavy metal and how it sort of woke me up? If you are, drop a comment there and tell me that you think it's a worthy topic. I think there's some amazing stuff in the heavy metal lyrics that really sort of woke me up and helped me come to a greater understanding of what was going on. Anyway, back to Dennis. Dennis is running Awakening Health, but we'll have more on that tomorrow at 3 p.m. Again, you can jump in and ask him some stuff. He was telling me he used to be a nurse and he was fired even before he was asked to get the what. So that might be one that may not end up on YouTube, because we know how the restrictive purposes go with the old YouTube and whatnot. But I'd also like to mention, for those who are following us on YouTube, love the fact that you're there. I understand it is a great platform. It does have some cool stuff, but the unfortunate part that comes with YouTube is this blanket of censorship. So unfortunately, you guys are missing out on some content. And by all means, stick with YouTube for the most part, but every now and then go and have a look at, say, Rumble or BitChute or Twitter. You particularly BitChute and Rumble. They're going to have all the things that the other platforms won't allow, because there is freedom in those networks. I would recommend, particularly if you're used to YouTube, to go to Rumble. It's definitely the next up and comer for these sort of platforms. But all that aside, let's have a look. See, have we got anyone in the chats? No, nothing's happening. Talking to myself, too late at night. I've left it too late. Finally got me stuff sorted out and everyone's gone to bed. That sounds about right, but you get these things. So, can I see anything happen on Rumble? Let's make sure that's working first. Sorry, I'm just going to go through the protocols of does this work as I fumble my way through the new world. Yep, Rumble seems to be working. I'm not getting anything in the live chat, unfortunately, in this particular juncture in time. And we're going to... Oh my God, Anthony Albanese made another post. I look forward to working with President Joe Biden and his administration in the coming days to advance our mutual interests. What's that? Mental health for the bloody useless politicians? By God. I couldn't think of a greater collection of idiots standing side by side. Like, I mean, really. I'm speechless. I'm speechless. Some of the most useless politicians in history patting each other on the back. You got to wonder which one's going to trip over first. My money's on Joe, but, you know, Anthony's made such a tool of himself lately. Anything's possible. And then right under it, somebody elbows cost of living crisis. Power's up, mortgage up, rent up, food up, petrol up, health up. Of course. What else would you expect to see? But anyway, that's just the first couple of things that popped into my Twitter feed that I had to share because, wow, you just got to go with what's happening. But anyway, it looks like it seems to be functioning here on the old Twitter. Looks like we got a couple of views there, which is cool. I don't know if you have just strolled past or if you're actually in for the long haul. If you are, maybe drop a little comment. I will get back to you at some stage because unfortunately I don't have a live feed to Twitter as far as comment interaction goes. At least I haven't quite nutted it out. Maybe there is something there that I will learn as time goes on because this whole live streaming thing is definitely new to me. Wasn't something I originally intended to do as more of a filmmaker, special effects artist and all that. And I'll also mention, hey, if you guys need some videos or special effects, design work, something to that, even cartooning, again, have a look at all the links at Linktree. You'll find a way to contact me. And yeah, truth. At the end of the day, I did make the very first One Nation cartoon, not specifically Pauline Hanson's ones. I did it for Troy Thompson. But that's where she got the idea from, boys and girls. My jaw nearly dropped when I spoke to George Christensen, that's right. I applied for a job with him at one point, and yeah, he showed me a couple of little things. He's gone, are you aware that this is going on? I'm like, oh, wow. Did you know that I did this? And he was, oh, okay. So, you know, if you're not sure and you think I'm making this up, that I did the first one, go ahead, ask George. He'll back me up. He knows. And if you're not sure, you can always find Troy. I'm sure he might tell you. Who knows? We'll see. But anyway, so with all that rambling and whatnot aside, let's come back to here. And there's another thing. We should talk about the Indigenous Voice to Parliament video that went viral, and I want to thank everybody for watching that and supporting it. I don't really care if you voted yes or no because I'm not that much of a, you know, pointing finger people like some people have turned into. But anyway, I just want to thank you for supporting the video, whether you agreed with it or not. At least you looked at it, you know, and if you're really keen on giving the Indigenous a voice, don't you think it's wise to listen to what they have to say? But they have so much more to say than just that video. If you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. But we'd like to share more with you. You know, we've got some really amazing stuff coming up. I am building Proton as well. Oh, sorry, I've got a Proton mail, so if you want to email me whatnot, you can find us the Proton. Through the Linktree stuff here, you will find a Patreon, is the word I was looking for, where we're going to start setting up, if you wish to pay the $10 a month fee, where we're going to have exclusive content. And some of that exclusive content is most likely going to be some of the stuff we've seen at Apocalypso. I'm not sure. I'm either going to do it that way or I'm going to set up a specific paid Rumble account. I'm not sure. That's still in negotiations. But we will definitely have some really cool stuff. I did a recording with Glenn from the Wakaman tribe where he explained this really interesting 1972 movie called Walkabout. which is kind of like a young girl and a young boy sort of get lost in the desert, and an indigenous fella, he's on walkabout, and he sort of comes in to the rescue. And the interesting dynamic about that movie is that the indigenous fella is constantly speaking his language, which is fair enough, as you do, and the young kids are speaking English, obviously, and they've got to try and get along. They're in the desert for quite some time, and it's really interesting, especially from the viewer's point of view, because there's no subtitles, how they're interacting, what's going on. It's definitely a 70s movie. I will warn people that you should definitely, if you're not able to digest intense content, some things could be perceived as rather violent. There are some rather confronting scenes in there. I would definitely give it an M rating. I think if you released it in like sort of that mid to late 80s point of view, it might have even got a bloody an R rating in some cases, and there's a bit of nudity in there as well. But again, it's kind of, it's done in a way to get you to think about the cultural implications of it. And Glenn and I sat down and we did a reaction video, which is not something I'd really ever thought I would do. I had talked about it with other people, but it never come to fruition. And I thought it was a really interesting idea, like especially going on the concept of the black fella, white fella dreaming thing that's been coming up quite a lot in, my little world. And the indigenous told me about that, so the prophecy of white fella, black fella dreaming, just blew me away. And that's something else that we want to share more with you via the upcoming indigenous doco, which I'd love you to contribute to, because this work does take a lot of time. This is why I've started doing this live streaming thing, where I can actually start sort of connecting, getting stuff out to multiple channels all in one hit, and then hopefully being able to increase productivity as a result. So I've gone on a bit of a rant there, but back to what I was talking about with what we want to try and offer on the Patreon. And again, this is something that, particularly those who have become Patreon members, really want your feedback. If you're willing to chuck those extra couple of bucks in to keep me alive and help us do the amazing work that we're doing, at least I think it's amazing. And if you're watching, I'm guessing you do too. But, I want that input. I want to know what you guys want, I want to help everybody along their own little journey. We're all little pieces of this amazing puzzle of, newfound freedom and wonderful other things that we can see coming on the horizon here. So tell me what you want to know. There's so many things I know I've looked at, and there's so many people I know that I can hopefully bring into this to discuss things with. But all that aside, I was pretty excited about what Glenn and I did with the reaction video. Well, I think we started at about 12 o'clock and we went through to nearly 6 in the hour. So it was like a 6-hour session. It's a lot of footage I'm going to have to go through. And obviously I'm not going to dump 6 hours on you. We will take the time to edit it, but that's where people have got to understand. If it's a 6 hours worth of video, then that's going to take me at least 2 days probably to really get through and get a good product out to you. Because, if it takes 6 hours to watch, well, that's your first 6 hours is watching it. Not to mention how, we cut here, we move this, we cut that, we move that, and we go back and we watch this again, and, it all adds up. It all adds up. Especially if you've done any video editing before, you'll probably understand that it is quite an labor-intensive process, and of course I've had a lot of experience. I'm pretty quick, but there's only so fast you can be with this corporeal 2 hands and whatnot. And I know maybe one day I'll figure out to do it like the drummer from Def Leppard and get some pedals going for my keyboard or something. I don't know. But anyway, the title of the video that I've roped everyone in with is Wes Walker sent this in the mail. When you have a look at this, have a look at that. Alright, free fun night, eh? Free. Yeah, there's such a thing in this universe apparently. But then you come to the bottom here and it says paid for by Les Walker. Alright, so did he open up his wallet and pay for it himself? I doubt it. I've heard from another concerned Labor voter who I was talking to the other day, who actually sent him an email, and was, actually somewhat shocked. Personally, I wasn't, that he didn't get a response. I've personally emailed Les a couple of times and gotten no response. It's quite astounding, especially for a man who has had a giant billboard down the road saying he was your voice in the North. Wow, what a bold statement. And we all seen how well the voice went for him. But that's the funny thing. This turned up 2 days after, like on the Tuesday, a crushing defeat. They send this. All right? It seems like a lovely idea, right? We're going to put on a Halloween thing for the kids, It's got free sausage sizzle, refreshments, laser skirmish, jumping castle, and much more. Of course we need these things at this park at Marabou Park, right? You know why? Because the playground's been burnt down twice. Twice! The second time they built it, I think it lasted about a week. Why is that? Because they can't control the crime. They can't. They're useless. If you look at my video with Senator Malcolm Roberts, I actually pitched it to Senator Malcolm Roberts because in my mind I'm thinking, how could you be this bad at your job? How could you be that bad? You must want the crime. And, in my mind it seems somewhat logical because during the recent crime rally that was held here in Townsville, Mayor Jenny Hill, who we know is heavily involved in the Labor Party, was saying how her solution was more cameras. We need some more Big Brother in this town. Of course, at our expense, unfortunately, we're going to have to charge you more rates. Thanks, love. Really appreciate that one. We're not doing it hard enough. And that leads me to the second little piece of propaganda. Have a look at this. This one, I really had to laugh at this one. Not only have we got Palachuk here, Palachuk government cost of living relief, and how she intends to relieve all this with another band-aid solution, right? And where's this relief coming from? You guessed it, boys and girls, our bloody pockets. Guarantee you not one member of the Labor Party opened up. He put his goofy bloody face on it anyway. Look at this clown. But you really want, this is my favourite photo. Have a look. How fake is that? Have a look at him. Did somebody put a stick up his butt or something? It's like he's a bloody puppet or something. Then you got these other people. I have to wonder, was this woman so ashamed to be in a photo with him that she had to put a face nappy and a set of glasses on? Come on. Oh, funny as. But again, it's just a band-aid solution. What's your real solution? There is none, is there? You're just going to steal my money and redistribute it and let everything run rampant. You've admitted that the cost of living is running rampant. And what's your solution? More tax dollars? Did you borrow money from bloody China to forge that? And again, my children will pay that back for what? One bill? You're gonna. Oh, that's right. Here, let's point out. There was a specific wording here that I found really funny. I just got to go through it again. Yeah, if you have an account with an electricity retailer, we have a choice up here in the north. There's only one. It's friggin' Ergon, right? So, of course, we have one. Just the one. There's no other options. Not that it really matters because it all comes from the same place, and the only difference you get if you think you're getting an option is how much it costs to administrate it. It's the same as the NBN. The government runs the NBN, and you've got all these other people pretending that they can give you a better deal. It's just how much they're going to cut off their own profits, It's just madness. Utter madness. Ultimately, it's which third-party interloper would you like to give the friggin' money to? Obviously the one that's going to give you the best deal, but my God, where was it? Basically, it was saying that your energy provider was going to select how it was given to you because it could either be given to you in 2 or 3 or 4 parts. Just trying to find where it is again. Those moments you think you got it all sorted and you had it all planned out? Well, this isn't one of them. It was, like before I started this, I'm like, yeah, I got this. I looked at it before, and now I'm doing it. I've got a lot of work to do on my live streaming. Sorry, guys. Anyway, still no comments. I know it's in here. There it is. Right there. The new rebate will be split into 3 or 4 installments over your billing cycle. Your electricity provider will determine when this occurs. Don't even get a say when you can use it. Like, oh, you can't make this stuff up. Like, of all the maddening ideas, like if I was going to write a book about a totalitarian, workers' party, heavily funded by a socialist society, I'd be struggling to think of things like this, like I have to thank them for the content they give us. Like every time these people do something, it just gives us so much ammo. Like they're feeding these channels, And of course, they'll turn around and say this is misinformation and disinformation, but how? It's right here. It's your own bloody words, you numpties. Pack of raving lunatics. Drive a man to a drink, eh? So, I mean, that's just what's happening in my area. I know another lady who's within the same boundaries. She didn't get the wonderful call to attention. Let's have a look at the park that's been ridden with crime thanks to your inadequacies. She just got the Palachuk bloody bit. But I'm curious, do other people who have a Labor electorate of some sort, have they also received some sort of ridiculous propaganda in the attempt to bring back the people? Because obviously this crushing defeat, particularly here in Queensland, 70%, is smashed them by 70%, But that leads me into my next point here. And I am going to do something I've never done before. And I'm going to test this little button here. Actually, before I test that button, I'm going to set it up. I'm going to show you a little piece of the Path to Treaty Bill 2023, and in complete disregard and disrespect of the people's wishes, the government still plans to plough through with this ridiculous garbage, which is fundamentally just UN, the will of the UN. They're not serving the people. Clearly, if they cared about the people, they would have listened to the will of the people, particularly here in Queensland. 70% said no. All right? Whether you said yes or no isn't the point. The point is 70% said no. It's supposedly a it seems like a dictatorship, but it's supposedly a democracy. At least that's the line we get sold. But, wrong button. I'll get better at this. Trust me. I'll figure it out. I'm going to share my screen. Yes, I know it works that way. And I want to share... No, not that bit. Where'd it go? That's the bit. I'm going to share that. And now I bring this up. Here we go. Path to Treaty Bill 2023. Bill to introduce the Honourable Anastasia Palaszczuk. Good old Palachuk, I don't know if honourable's really the right word to be putting in the same sentence with that woman. But I'll leave that to you. You tell me. What do you reckon? Should the word honourable be in front of Anastasia Palaszczuk's name? Like, seriously. And Premier and Minister for the Olympic... I mean, come on. Every time I see this sort of stuff, I find myself somewhat lost for words. Like that, the supreme arrogance of these people at times. Let's throw how many titles can we throw on it? Anyway, an act to establish the First Nations Treaty Institute to prepare a framework for treaty negotiations with the Aboriginal peoples and Torres Strait Islander peoples, and to support Aboriginal peoples and Torres Strait Islander peoples to participate in treaty negotiations, to provide for the establishment of the truth-telling and healing inquiry, to inquire into the continuing impacts of colonisation on Aboriginal peoples and Torres Strait Islander peoples, and amend this Act. The Aboriginal Torres Strait Islander Communities, Justice and Land and Other Matters Act 1984 and Fire and Emergency Services Act 1990 for the particular purposes. Wow. You'd think they could have chucked the full stop in. But anyway, that aside, and this is the typical kind of stuff you expect to see with Labor governments. They've been doing this for a long time. You know, you go back to some of the stuff that Gough Whitlam did in the 70s, and you see this quite often where they wish to amend other acts, you know. And of course, we're doing a First Nations treaty, but somehow the Foreign Emergency Services Act comes into this. And I mean, well, I guess we'll have to look into it a little bit further. And like, you know, honestly, I'm doing this like I am going through this with you. I've not really looked at it. I just found the act and I thought this could be fun. So I'm very curious to see what we're changing here. But enacting in this act, why don't we just, where's that full screen button? Anyway, we're wasting time. Do we really need a full screen button? You tell me. Enacting this act, the Parliament of the Queen recognises Aboriginal peoples, many district countries. Do you need me to read it to you, or are you capable of reading? If people want me to read to you, tough shit right now, I can't be asked. I'm just skimming, because that works a lot faster for me. I want to know where they got that number from. Do we know that for certain? Is it 65,000 years? Like, what if it was 65,001? What if it was 64,978? You know, I love the way they're always so accurate with their estimations. You know, you've seen similar sort of absolute numbers, you know, throughout World War II, for instance, and other wars, you know, that, you know, body counts with such absolute numbers. So, what I really like here, the lands, seas, waters, and air, and resources. It's a very, very fascinating wording, which poses some interesting questions. And you know what? I'd really like to sit down with some of the tribal people and see what they think of this wording too. And I reckon we might end up doing that. It might have to be a Patreon thing. I don't know. It depends on how long it is. And I guess, again, you know, how long do you guys want to see videos for? Is an hour too long? Is half an hour a good number? What works? And that kind of user feedback is really helpful. Drop that stuff into the comments section, or even just email me if you don't want your name to come up for, you know, reasons. You know, you don't wish to take that tinfoil hat off for long enough to, you know, create an account or something. Like, I mean, here's me creating millions of different accounts and putting my face and my name to everything, you know. Like, surely you can put, you know, at least a fake name and a fake email to something to drop a comment. But anyway, so let's have a quick look. Nothing in Rumble. Yeah. You know what? I might go through and have a really good look at this document, because we're looking at 35 pages. Got a bunch of short titles. Is that commences on a day to be fixed by proclamation. You know, and the dangerous thing about this is there's no upper house here in Queensland. You know, it hasn't been since 1920, whatever it was, and that's really disturbing. There really should be a parliamentary check, and that's how so much dodgy legislation has gotten through here in Queensland. And because of the way the legal system works, once it gets through in one state, they're able to drag it into other states, and that's where a lot of dodgy shit is happening here. And I mean, it was really good to see that Queensland has stepped up to the plate to at least write NO, because, you know, that's what my Indigenous brothers and sisters told me to do. And some of them even said don't vote at all, but I know there are other people out there who think that's a way to go, but in my opinion, and it's, you know, opinions are like arseholes, everybody's got one, they all stink. But in my humble opinion, I think if you don't say anything, then they're just going to do whatever the bloody hell they like. And to give you an example of that, you get your shitty speeding fine, you know, you just happen to be a couple of kilometres over, nobody got hurt, there's no victims, it's a victimless crime, it's not even a crime, it's just ridiculous. But that said, you know, they've offered you something. You know, you can either stand your ground and fight, or you can bend over and pay out the bumhole. Or you can do nothing, in which case they'll just keep coming at you harder and harder. And to me, not voting is that same kind of thing. They're just going to keep coming at you. These people don't care. And again, you know, here they are, they're going to put this thing through right after 70% of the state said no. Like, it's a flagrant disregard for the people. It's infuriating. It really is. But, you know, at the same time, I will stick to the original construct of, you know, thank you for your infuriating nonsense. It gives me something to work with. Thank you. It gives me reason and being. It gives me purpose. It gives me drive. You know, and I know there's so many more people are popping up now. So many more are popping up going, we've had a gutful. You're like, it's not even convincing anymore. You know, and you look at some of the wording here, and, you know, at the end of the day, look, you know, sitting down to treaty negotiations, it's an interesting idea, but you didn't sit down with any of the tribes, as I clearly pointed out, at least 28 of them in the Indigenous Voice to Parliament video. You didn't sit down and talk to them people. You didn't sit down in the grassroots. So again, I can only assume you're going to sit down with your hand-picked ones who support the communisms, you know, the elders of the Communist Party. Like, I mean, Thomas Mayo, to me, oh wow, I nearly fell off my chair. You know, like, there's one thing to be paying your respects to your own people and your own culture, but to pay your respects to the elders of the Communist Party, really? How well did you think that was going to go over? Anyway, you know what? I think I might sit down. I might go through this. But look at all this. Actually, what did I just see there? Oh, I was voting. I thought it said voting at meetings. Okay. I might even go over this with Darren. We'll see how we go for time and whatnot. It might not happen. We might even make that a video for later. It depends on how it goes. But what I'm really curious about is this, like I said, the amendments to the Firefighting Act. Like, how does that bloody work? What's that got to do with it? Is it something, you know, like, I mean, in an innocent realm, an innocent construct, you'd be thinking, okay, well, maybe, you know, there's something in there that, you know, governs how they affect the land, and, you know, it might tie into what they've said here, but, let's see. I just find it's really dubious the way they amend acts, you know, in other acts. So, I mean, even if you were going to pick up, you know, the firefighting, what was it it amends? Let's have a quick look again, so I get my wording right. So even if you were to look up this particular act, you know, and you read it and you think, oh cool, now I know what that act's about, but you didn't know this one existed, you didn't know it had been amended somewhere else, there you are under a false pretense, you know. Fire and Emergency Services Act of 1990, you know, I think you're a firefighter, you think you got it nailed because you read that act, but you didn't know there's this other one bloody stuffing around here with you, the act. You know, why not just go and change that act accordingly, so to keep it easy, rather than leaving these trails of garbage all over the place, confusing people. It's you know, it's almost intentionally done. Here we go, amendment about legislation. So, and again, this is the ridiculous part when they do this. You know, we're going to amend Division 1 Amendment Act. So of this particular act, we're going to say this division amends this act. Right. Really? So, long title. Negotiations to omit, insert, negotiations and to. So they've added this one word. From and to amend, omit. So this is one of those cases. Now I've got to pull up that act to figure out what the hell they've changed. And that's the fundamental way we go through these sorts of things. It's, For those of you who want to learn a little bit about this stuff, it's just reading. It's going through and reading. Yeah, I know, it's long, it's tedious, it's boring, and you're probably sitting there thinking, seriously, do I have to sit here and watch you do this? Well, you don't. You can bugger off anytime you like. But, this is the kind of stuff that, back in the day, I used to sit down with Darren from time to time, and this is what he'd show me how to do. To sit down and read this stuff and figure this out and go, all right, cool, we got this bit, we want that bit, and then we're going to go check. This is a giant bloody legal Rubik's Cube, I mean, he loves it, which is amazing, and, we'll hear more about that on Wednesday. But, yeah, I mean, even Schedule 1, it's got a dictionary. Aboriginal law means the body of culturally embedded principles and practices which governs a community or group of Aboriginal people. Now, did they ask the Aboriginal people if that's what it means? And last I checked, Aboriginal law should be LORE, perhaps? I don't know. And again, it just seems like another opportunity to really try and drag them kicking and screaming into this system, It's just such a blatant disregard and disrespect for the people themselves. Not only us, but them. So, yeah. I know. I invite you to have a look, have a read. This is what they're up to. This is what they want to do. They really have just shown a complete disrespect, as if the voice wasn't bad enough, a display of complete and utter disregard for people's feelings and thoughts, the way they carried on through that, and the constant insults from, the Yes campaign and the disgusting manners in which they behaved. It's what's wrong with this whole thing, how we... They obviously don't want us to come together and talk and discuss things in a mutual fashion. They want to inflame violence. At least that's my opinion. But again, referring back to what I was saying when I spoke to Senator Malcolm Roberts, I put the idea that I think they want to do these things, and he retorted by saying, well, no, they really are just that crap at their jobs. They really are that useless, which I thought was quite shocking, But then again, having worked with the mainstream media, I know there's a lot of people who think there's, a giant conspiracy going on there. And not to say that, maybe at the very high-end top there is, but for the most part, these people really are just that daft, and they really do believe this crap, and they really are that lazy and useless at their jobs. So I guess it's possible. I mean, if it translates in that industry, and I'm pretty sure anybody goes to their job and is astounded that, the utter stupidity of people around them, or even the stupidity of the system itself that drives people to this mental shutdown that, fundamentally makes them stupid. I'm sure a lot of people probably have a lot more to offer and a greater capacity, but the restricting, crushing nature of the system is what makes them fundamentally stupid. So I'll apologize for that overall derogatory comment. And, because I think the system is the problem. It always is. Anyway, boys and girls, I think I've bored the shit out of you guys long enough. At least, nobody's... Oh, hang on. Look out. Young0267. I am Emmy by a professional digital marketer with vast years of experience in this field. I specialize in video marketing and channel optimization. If you are interested in promoting your Rumble... Right. Here is his... look at this name. Young0267. You go have a look at the... Seriously, in the middle of a live stream, you're going to come in and advertise your garbage? Piss off, mate. Piss off. You didn't even have a decent friggin' handle. Why won't it let me delete? I have to come back to it later, I think. Or maybe it's just in a live chat. Can I... I'll figure that out another day. Anyway, until next time, boys and girls... Thank you very much for watching and listening to my ranting ravings. Drop me an email. Hey, if you got a story, or hey, you just want to jump on and chat, if you want to ask me some questions live and get your mates to, throw stupid comments or whatever, or even intelligent comments, that'd be really cool. By all means, get in there. Please, if you're interested in hearing more about things from the Indigenous, I do have hours and hours of work to do, and it'd be really good to know that my bills are paid, because that's pretty much what this is too, is just to allow me the freedom to be able to go, cool, that's sorted, I don't need to stress about that. I just want to get this job done, and get this out to the people. So it'd be really good if we can get some support. And of course, check out all our other links and channels and stuff. And maybe you just want to just say, hey, I love your work, and drop something in via PayPal or Bitcoin or something like that. But thank you all very much. And again, I'll remind our YouTube video listeners that some of the content that's coming up may just not be appropriate for their little box world. Is that a box? It's a bit more boxy. A bit more. Maybe it's a little crushed in sphere. I don't know how you want to describe it, but let's face it, YouTube isn't what it used to be. So unfortunately, you guys are going to miss out on some content from time to time if you're going to stick with just YouTube. But hey, by all means, if you like that as a medium and you want to use that for the majority, that's cool. But do jump over to Rumble if you want, in particular. BitChute's obviously another good option, but Rumble in particular if you want to engage. So thank you all very much. Till next time, stay free.